Welcome to Dear Book Coach. I'm Carrie Savage, certified book coach, writer, and project manager.
I'm Stephanie Detlefs, writer and certified book coach.
I'm Terry Thayer, writer, certified book coach, certified focusing professional.
This is a friendly advice space for you as you plan, draft, and revise your novel. In each video, we answer one question submitted by a writer like you with 3 different points of view, and you get to pick the advice that resonates with you. So today's question is from Diana. What is the right balance between exposition and scene? Sometimes I feel like all I do is write scenes, but other times I feel like I have too much telling in between them. Stephanie, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, well, I would say that very generally speaking, you want to have more scene than exposition. So just to define exposition, which is explaining and defining whatever it is that you're talking about, it's necessary sometimes. You can't avoid it. But in fiction, too much of it really bogs down the story. And scene, which is simply showing the story unfolding, showing the action happening, is way more effective and way more engaging for the reader. So I guess my answer really depends on where you are in the writing process. If you're on your first draft, I would keep what I just said about having more scene than exposition in mind. But I would also just not let it keep you from writing forward. I would just keep writing, keep going. If you think that maybe you're doing too much telling, make a note to yourself, highlight the section, do whatever it is that you need to do, but then just keep moving forward, because this is something that's really fairly, I wouldn't say easy, but it's pretty straightforward to fix and revision. If you are past your first draft and you're now into the revision stages, then my strategy I might suggest would be to highlight passages that are heavy in exposition and then decide what to do with them. So are there too many of them, not enough of them? And is there one that could easily be embedded more into a scene rather than just 2 paragraphs of explaining, and you can make your changes from there. So that's pretty much what I have to say about it. More scene than exposition, but both have their place. Terry, how about you?
Totally. As you were talking, I was thinking we did a whole episode on Show Don't Tell, episode 9. So you can listen to that to get more of an idea of what we're talking about in terms of the difference. And right now in the writing world, there just seems to be a lot of emphasis on showing, not telling. But some exposition is definitely necessary. I think in the past, people have kind of gone overboard with it. So, but you don't want your reader to be wondering why your protagonist is doing what they're doing, or why this secondary character is important, or even where they are physically in the story. This could also be a matter of pacing. Is the exposition slowing your reader down? And is that okay? I mean, sometimes we do want to put the brakes on and let the reader kind of savor what has happened in that scene and think about what might have happened. This, again, also is somewhat genre specific. If you're writing a thriller, you're going to have a lot of scenes. I would pay attention to the books that you're reading and how you react when you read exposition. And notice where your attention lags, where you're skipping ahead, and where you're really drawn in. This could be a question of writing, of prose. So this could be a place where you work on your sentences, just write down to the sentence level. Can you make your exposition more interesting or persuasive or revealing or suspenseful? The only thing that it can't be is unnecessary. So really questioning why that bit of exposition is there will serve you. And we're always preaching this, but writing with intentionality or revising with intentionality and making sure that something actually belongs there is your best bet. To you, Carrie.
Yeah, so I mean, echoing what you guys have said, as with most, or yeah, maybe not all, but most writing questions, there isn't a hard and fast rule to like what the balance is. We can't say it should be 60-40 or 70-30 or whatever it is. That's going to depend. Exposition absolutely is necessary at sometimes to bridge gaps between time and space and fill readers in on information that they might need, but it doesn't necessarily need to be conveyed to them in the minute detail of a scene. To sort of repeat also what Terry was saying, I think, modern books tend to be a lot more scene heavy. So I think that's where the trends in what we're writing and reading are. And so I think readers' expectations these days is for books that are definitely lean more towards scene. I think I've definitely noticed that books that I read, both published books and with clients that I'm working on, when there's the narrative tends to get more exposition heavy, it can tend to feel a little more old, like a little more stylized almost. And that's not a bad thing per se, but it's just a choice that you want to be aware that you're making. My tendency as a writer, and this may become, because of what I read modern, but my tendency as a writer is to think in scene. So then I have to go back and make choices about what really deserves to be a scene versus what I can tell the reader in exposition. The way I think is probably why my first draft of my novel was 145,000 words, which you shouldn't do if you can avoid it. Much of that was me working out my protagonist's life on the page. I wanted to see everything that she experienced through her eyes. And so I wrote a lot of scenes. And I think that that's fine, actually, for a first draft of a novel. But I would never do it again if I can help it. And I know that I have to cut mercilessly because, that's just, it's too long. So that's where I'm going to need to go back and figure out what are those pieces, those things that I go, okay, this isn't as important, and so I can cut it, but there is this nugget of information that the reader is going to need. So when I go from one chapter or scene to the next, what's that expository information look like? What needs to be in there that way? So that's just some thoughts on the balance. And yeah, that's it.
I think it's, I just want to highlight 2 points that I heard both of you make. One is this is a great use of another book, another published book, or a mentor text, when another writer has written a book that you're enjoying, that you feel like the pacing is good, that you feel like you can envision the story, that you're seeing the scenes unfolding, but it feels like a good balance. Maybe like actually notice, oh, this passage is exposition. Oh, now we're in scene, and just notice, observe, maybe take some notes. That's a good way to use a book as you're reading. And the other one, oh no, I lost my train of thought. It happens to the best of us, right? It happens to me more than I care to admit. What was it? I'm going to give myself 5 seconds to remember. Nope, I lost it. It was something Carrie, so go back and rewind and watch Carrie again. It was something she just said. All right. That's it for us. We hope that you found an answer that makes sense to you at this point in your life and at this point in your book. Remember, you can submit your question to us anytime at dearbookcoach.com and subscribe to our weekly email, and you'll be entered into a drawing for a monthly Call with a Coach giveaway. So we will see you next time.